I'm standing in my living room, my wife's eyes fixed on me, tears streaming down her face as she screams. They're all gone! Every single one of my games is gone! The room is spinning, and I'm trying to process what's happening. How did we get here? Just a few months ago, life was good. My wife and I were in our early 20s, living in a large 3-bedroom apartment in a rough neighborhood. It was cheap, but it was home. I was juggling multiple kitchen jobs to make ends meet, and my wife was attending university while working part-time. We had extra space, so we decided to rent out one of the bedrooms. That's when Bob came into our lives. He answered our online ad, and we thought we'd found the perfect tenant. He was quiet, respectful, and always paid his rent on time. We had no complaints. As time passed, my wife found out she was pregnant, and we were over the moon. We knew we'd need the spare bedroom for the baby, so we gave Bob plenty of notice to find a new place. He moved out 2 months later, and we thought that was the end of it. But little did we know, our lives were about to take a dramatic turn. My wife was going through her Nintendo DS and 3DS game collection, looking for something to play, when she realized that every single one of her games was gone. Not a few, not some, but every single game she owned had vanished into thin air. The weird part was that only her games were missing. Mine were all still there, untouched. She was devastated. Those games weren't just worth money, they were a part of her childhood. Some of them couldn't be easily replaced. I tried to stay calm, but I could feel my anger rising. I called Bob, hoping he might know something about the missing games. But as soon as he realized it was me on the phone, he hung up. Then he blocked my number. A few minutes later, I started getting non-stop automated prank calls, mocking us with messages like, "My games now, which?" It was surreal. My wife was 4 or 5 months pregnant by then, and she was a mess. I called the police and filed a report, but without proof, there was nothing they could do. I made my wife a promise. "I'll replace every single game you lost." I posted online, explaining what had happened, and asking if anyone had any of the missing games for sale. I wasn't expecting much, but a few days later, I received a message from a stranger. They had seen my post, and had also seen someone else selling the exact same list of games. Every single title, all loose cartridges, no cases. The stranger thought they had found the thief. I couldn't believe it. I thanked the stranger over and over, and even offered them a finder's fee, which they politely refused. I immediately explained everything to my boss, and he was understanding. I tried to call the police again, but they said there was nothing they could do without proof. So I realized I was on my own. I was stuck 2 cities away from home, and I needed someone to help me. That's when I called my brother Shady. We're complete opposites. I'm the nerd who likes computers and video games, and he's, well, let's just say he knows people. Growing up, we fought constantly, and we never really got along. But when I explained the situation to him, all of our differences disappeared. He simply said, "Don't worry, I'll handle it. But I need a couple of things from you." Shady had recently been released from jail on bail, so he wanted to be careful. He needed someone who could positively identify Bob. The only other person besides me who had met Bob was my wife. So I asked if she'd be willing to go with Shady. She agreed, but I could hear the hesitation in her voice. She wanted those games back, but she was also scared. The next problem was that Shady didn't have a car, and neither did any of my friends. Then I remembered someone, my best friend's mother. She was one of the sweetest church-going ladies you'd ever meet. I had helped their family fix up their house before, so I figured I'd at least ask. I expected her to laugh and tell me absolutely not, but instead, she sounded excited. When I asked if she'd be willing to drive my brother a couple of cities away to confront the person who stole from us, she happily said yes. Everything after this point is second-hand, based on what everyone later told me. Shady arrived at my apartment, and he wasn't alone. He brought a friend, Tweaker, who I'd never met before. According to my wife, Tweaker couldn't stop twitching. I later learned he'd also recently gotten out of jail after assault charges. So there stood my pregnant wife, my brother, Tweaker, and the nicest church lady imaginable, waiting outside for her to pick them up. Meanwhile, I'm still 2 cities away, trying to work my shift, wondering how badly this could all go. Apparently, the church lady was having the time of her life, saying, "This is so exciting," while Shady and Tweaker were discussing how they were going to handle things if Bob tried anything. They arranged to meet Bob at an almost abandoned gas station outside town, a place that was apparently a common meet-up spot for buying and selling stuff. When they arrived, my wife stayed inside the van and confirmed that the person waiting was definitely Bob. Shady and Tweaker were fully expecting a fight, but then they saw him. Bob was just an overweight, nerdy-looking guy. Shady later told me, "The second I saw him, I knew this was going to be easy." The two of them casually walked over, greeted Bob, and Shady pulled out a thick wad of cash, fanning it out so Bob knew he had the money. Then he asked to inspect the games first. Bob handed over the entire collection, and Shady passed the games to Tweaker. Then he looked Bob dead in the eyes and said, "These games belong to my brother. You stole them." At that moment, my wife stepped out of the van. She wasn't yelling, she just asked him one simple question. "Why?" Bob realized he'd been set up. He looked at Shady, he looked at Tweaker, he looked at my pregnant wife, and he just walked away. He never answered her, never asked for the games back. He just left. When I got home that night, I thanked my friend's mom for driving everyone, and then I thanked my brother. Honestly, before that day, I never had much respect for him. We'd spent most of our lives butting heads, but when my wife needed help and I couldn't be there, he didn't hesitate. He just handled it. Let's just say I owe my brother more than he'll probably ever know. It's been years since that day, but the memory of it still feels vivid. My wife got her games back, and we were able to move on from the experience. But it's a reminder that sometimes, when the system fails you, you have to take matters into your own hands. And sometimes, the people you least expect can become the heroes you need. Was my brother right to confront Bob, or did he take things too far?
If you made it this far, thank you for watching. Drop your verdict in the comments below, subscribe for new stories every single day, and hit the notification bell so you never miss one.